Welcome to the Small Business Rally Point. It is Monday, May 18th, 2020, and time is starting to tick, even though it still feels like winter with the cold and rain that we've had the last 2 days. I can't believe how much it rained here in Wisconsin yesterday. I felt like we needed to build an ark, but it's raining today. The weather's supposed to get nice soon, so that's something that we can all look forward to. My name's Pat Miller. I'm the Idea Coach, and here on the Small Business Rally Point, we try to do a couple of things. First and foremost, connect small business owners with one another and have a real conversation about what's going on. This started on March 18th, 2020, during the beginning of the shutdown, when we all looked at each other and thought, what the heck is going to happen and what's going on? Since then, the conversation has kind of evolved into some information gathering, some idea generation, and it's also a great chance to have a roundtable. So on today's show, we've got some breaking news and we've got some reflection, plus we're going to do some brainstorming. But first, let's make sure we send the salute to our partners. We are sponsored by the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce. We absolutely love Carol and her team. Third Eye Local, Serendipity Labs, and the Brand Crafted Social Club. And very soon, the new Image Collective community. We'll give you details on that in just a few minutes. Shout out to Jennifer Buchholz, who is working the dials behind the scenes. She's the one that makes us look so good, so thank you for your co-hosting. And if you want to make sure you do not miss an episode of the Small Business Rally Point, make sure to text us the word BIZ to 414-240-1315. That's 414-240-1315. And that way you can get on the text distribution list. So Susie Moon, who's awesome, can text you and let you know who's going to be on the show and you don't miss an episode. So here's what we have today. First of all, breaking news. Governor Evers has announced a $75 million campaign that's going to help out small business owners. We're going to lean on Carol White for some more information on that when we talk with her in just a few moments. Carol is also hyper-connected with chambers of commerce from all around the country. So she's going to be able to give us some feedback on what her colleagues are saying, what other chambers are facing, and maybe some ideas on how her members in Brookfield are getting ready to reopen. We're also going to spend some time with Michael Rampolla from Spirity. He's got his whiteboard all ready to go. It's the Idea Slam portion of the broadcast, and he's got a sketchy new name for it, so we'll welcome him on the show as well. So if there's something you could use some help with, maybe it is a creative campaign or a new way to say what you're doing, we will all collaborate with one another on that in just a few moments. But first things first, I want to get my head around what's going to happen when we reopen. Because right now there's a line, at least in my area of town, it's 124th Street. If you're on this side of 124th Street, you can't open. If you're on this side of 124th Street, no problems. Come on, open all you want. So we're facing, some people are in and some people are not in our network. So I thought today it would be very interesting to talk to someone who opened over the weekend. And it was nice when I put out the call on Facebook this morning of, gee, who do I know that's open? And I thought, Kara Rankin, she's opened and she's at the Corners of Brookfield. She's the owner of Scout and Molly's. So Kara, I'm going to unmute you and just say, first of all, thanks for coming on the show. Now, I know that you have been watching the show on Facebook, and now this is the first time being on Zoom. So it's nice to have you on the broadcast. I'm trying here to unmute your microphone, and for some reason it's not unmuting. I think maybe Jennifer and I are arguing with it. So I'm going to click unmute here and see if we can get you. Do we have you now, Kara?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you sound fantastic.
Can you all hear me?
So
oh, yay. All right, perfect.
Open this weekend. How did it go? Give us like 30 seconds on what happened to open your doors. First of all, let's go back. How many days were your doors closed? Do you know off the top of your head?
We closed March, let's see, anyone who could do fast math. We closed, I think it was March 21st. And actually, 21st. And then we were officially open, Friday. So yeah. What was it? May 15th. So almost 2 months, almost 60 days. Anyway.
So if someone's not familiar with Scout and Molly's, tell us what the store is.
I'm a women's boutique that sells both clothing and accessories. Lately, how I have changed things up for me is, besides shifting over to online, I tell people I can dress you for those Zoom calls and then get you pants later for when you have to stand up. So, so there you go. Anyway, or at least make you look cute. All those women out there. Or men who like as well. Right. Anyway, But it was, just to answer your question, it was interesting. Friday was, I want to say, pretty darn busy. I mean, if you saw the news, Von Mauer had a line outside their front doors. My door was consistently pretty busy, but I had customers that took advantage of all things that I had to offer. So I'm open, but I also have private retail hours. So they did both, depending on your comfort level, I guess you could say.
So how long did you prepare to get the doors open? When did you realize you could open, and were you ready when you realized, oh my gosh, I can reopen?
So Monday, when Evers released us, we basically said, hey, retail could open with limitations. I had already been prepping. I had somewhat of a plan formulated, but it was pretty much oh shoot, we're not ready. And so we didn't open up. I know several did. I know several stores around us opened up earlier. We didn't know, we chose to open till Friday. So wait till Friday to open, just simply because I wanted to make sure everything was clean. I had all the supplies. I had a protocol, practice that protocol with all my staff, make sure my staff was okay, making sure that, you know, with opening up, did they have all their masks? What did they want to do? What hours? I mean, we talked about all that stuff. So you could say it was a lot of conversation. And then finally on Friday, even then, even with all the protocol, there was still little blips that you realize once you open, you're like, oh, wow. Like, I challenge all of you right now, it was great practice, go and have a Zoom call with a mask on.
I thought it would be great.
Yes, exactly.
That's
Anyway,
a great idea.
it changes everything, because that is exactly what you're going to be dealing with. As you talk to anybody in retail, is that you're going to have a mask on and people can't see your expression. They can only see your tone. You know, it's a big change. You can't come up to somebody and style them. You have to ask them, hey, can I take this from you? You have to maintain a distance. It's huge.
Do you have to be extra happy? Do you have to be extra perky so they know you're not mad at them because they can't see you smiling? Boy, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
Yes, exactly. I know. Well, I want to tell you, I said, if anybody wants to, I'm giving you a free idea for those idea slam, sketchy ideas, emoji type kind of masks that have like where you could switch what you're actually feeling on top, like right at the right there. So you could have a big, I'm smiling behind this mask, you know,
right.
That would be great, because yes, you have to tell people your emotions. You have to say, oh, I'm shocked. My mouth is open. If you could see it. Anyway.
All right, so let's talk. You talked a little bit about getting in front of the staff and getting people ready, but did you have to make any physical alterations to the store, plexiglass, or spacing things out or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. I didn't do plexiglass. That would have been a little bit of a hard install with my high ceilings. But what I did do is I removed furniture, so everything is less crowded. Mm-hmm. I moved totally revamped the store so that people can move freely without feeling like they're stuck in there, as well as I had to limit, I'm always having 2 people on, so 2 staff members. So I've limited the amount of people that can come into my store at 3. So there's 5 at any one time. There's 5, which by the way is very interesting, because this weekend we had people traveling in groups of 2. So anyway, so if you can imagine, if you have one group of 2 come in, there's 2 staff members, I can only let one of you of the group members in now, or you can both wait outside. So most people were agreeable. I mean, there wasn't anybody they just wanted to be around people and actually to be dressed up outside of, I mean, I don't think I saw a single pair of sweatpants all weekend.
Wow. Then you wore it at my house, because I have worn nothing else. All right.
There.
So, can I ask just a real question? And this is like, I don't know, this might make me sound weird or something, but are you afraid of getting sick?
Me? No, I'm not. I figure if it's going to happen, this is me personally. If it happens, it happens. Am I not? I'm taking every precaution reasonable, but no, I'm not afraid of being sick. I don't know why.
Right. And I'm not suggesting that you had to be. It's just that not only are you open, hundreds of people are going to come into contact with you more than the average person. And I was just curious if that's something that was going through your mind as, okay, I'm opening because my business is reopening, but now I'm taking an enhanced risk because I'm going to host so many more people. And it might not be a thing, but it's just something that I could see someone being concerned about when they swung those doors open for the first time.
Sure. I was actually more concerned about people's, I think more the reception, I think is the word I would say, is to being open, because there's such a mix right now. There's those that are for and those that are against, and there seems to be no in between. As regards to being sick, I have talked about it with my staff, because I'm trying to be as open as they can to talk to me about, I just had a morning call this morning with my staff, and one of them said she was a little freaked out by a woman that basically said, hey, can you help me get this off? Which involved her touching them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, if you are, then come get me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if that's going to be your situation. So yeah.
I'll do the touching. Just call me.
Yes.
Over. I'll be the designated.
Yes, exactly.
toucher.
I'll take the risk.
Yeah.
I'll take the risk, everybody, and let it. Yeah. So that was fine by me.
If you're just joining us, we're talking with Kara Rankin, owner of Scout and Molly's at the Corners of Brookfield. And if you have a question, jump into the chat and we'll bring you on and let you ask the question so we can get everything that's on there. So let's talk a little bit now. We talked about you. We talked about how you had to alter the facility and how you dealt with your staff.
Yeah.
What would you say the attitude was of the shoppers that came in? What did they say? How did they behave? Were they excited to be out in public? Were they scared? Give us a
Do you want the truth?
No, it would be great if you'd lie to us. That'd be awesome. I'd really enjoy that. But no, tell us, what's up?
So Friday was probably the busiest we'd seen. It slowed down a little bit as the weekend went on. But I would say the biggest surprise factor I had, and I'm glad I was there the opening day, was the lack of masks on people. And I'm not a mask shamer, so it's up to you to decide whether you want to. But I didn't see a single person with a mask on, and they were traveling groups. It was like I felt like they were just so happy to be out and about that they were just, I don't know if they were really worried. It's interesting to me. That's what shocked me the most, only because I've been in grocery stores.
Right.
So I felt like most people would be concerned. I did have some people ask me what my cleaning protocol was. I did have some people ask me if my dressing rooms were open, and if so, what was I doing to sanitize them afterwards? But a lot of people were like, oh my God, it's so good to be out of sweats. Oh, I so just needed to be inside a store again. And that's what I got a lot of. Oddly enough, not concerned and not talking about COVID at all. Like basically just talking about, hey, what's going on? What you up to? What have you got in the store that's new? That kind of thing. So.
Yeah. Sue Gresham's reporting that she saw big groups together this weekend without masks on, and that sunny weather maybe made people feel like everything was okay. And in reality, it was just sunny, like nothing really changed. It was just a nice day on Friday. As someone that's taking this seriously, and that's why I wanted to have you on, because Corners of Brookfield got a lot of pub because it's one of the big shopping centers that was open all of a sudden, and the media went out there. So talk to us about and you don't have to name names. I'm not looking to shame anybody or out anybody, but what was the mix of the retailers? Did everybody take it seriously or not?
Well, yes and no, depending on, and I think it has to do a lot with organization. I want to be fair. There is one store in particular that my manager went to on Saturday, and she said she probably will never go back in there until maybe they do a massive cleaning. But I will say that as far as the Corners is concerned, and I'm sorry, my dog just came in here running in and out. If you hear running, she just came in. I told my son to take care of her, but apparently he thinks it's okay to let this run back and forth. Anyway, what I was going to say is that the Corners has been very proactive as far as even when this first broke, before they closed. They have hired, I think there's more cleaning crew out there than then you would believe, like, there's more cleaning crew than security, I think. They actually have people wiping down doors literally every half an hour. There's a guy coming by wiping down my outside door. They actually have tables outside for you to do carry out that they're cleaning. So if the tables are in, like the chairs are actually faced in, that means that table has been cleaned and you can use it. If it looks like normal, then you couldn't. So a lot of the retailers, they're taking it seriously. There's only one I would say, and I'm not going to mention that, I would say they might want to take a look at their cleaning protocol, but that might be due to organization. Like, I don't think they were organized prior to this. And it could be because they furloughed all of their employees and, you know what I'm saying, and had trouble maybe getting everyone back. So
Right.
They weren't prepped.
So one of the downfalls right now in the technology we're using is I can't see who's making all of the comments, unfortunately, but someone was asking of the folks that came into the store, were they all familiar faces? Were some of them new faces? What do you think the mix was of people that came in this weekend?
Some were new to me, and some were old familiar faces. A lot of them were old familiar faces that heard that I opened and that came. But some were new. Some were just out and about checking out. It was interesting. I had several people who were supporting all the stores that were open. So they had bags from every single store.
That's cool. And let's dig in on that for a second. How did your customers react while you were shut down? Did they buy gift cards? Did they reach out to you? Did you have people support you for the sake of supporting Scout and Molly's? Did that happen?
Yes, I did have people come out and support me. At
Cool.
first, I think it took a while for everyone to get used to it, because remember, I'm an experience-based boutique. It is a hands-on sort of, I call it almost like an event when you come in. So it was different for me to actually shift to online. And so it took me a while, because I did a lot of research and I had my staff do research on creating that experience as much as you can online. So we did Facebook Lives, we did other things along the lines of that. So it took a while, but I think once we hit that, when they started saying we were going to be closed longer than 3 weeks, then my customers really started to come out and go, okay, now we know, this is going to be longer. And they would, they got notification that I was online, that they bought gift cards, that they actually did support me and come in and not come in, but buy online and ship and stuff like that. So it did help.
We had one question. Sandra wanted to know that she was on a call this morning for salons and spas, and some of the folks were suggesting that a waiver be signed before a customer comes in the store to protect you. Do you feel like that's overkill or necessary to protect yourself? How does that strike you as a retailer?
I don't know. Honestly, it is something that I worried about. I actually I talked to my insurance people who are on this call about this. I said, should I be worried? One other thing too is, and this is something the Corners is actually starting to roll out, I think after they watch this opening weekend, they are providing all the retailers with disposable masks now, so that you can have them when you walk through the door if somebody feels like it. So when I sent out my email, by the way, I told everybody, listen, we'd prefer if you did, but I'm not going to make you. You know what I'm saying? Just for the safety of my staff, because it's a small location, or a small store. So it's that waiver. I'm not sure. I don't know. I am concerned, but granted, I'm also not directly touching people. Does that make sense? Like a salon, they have to touch you. I don't. It's bizarre. I start to walk toward them and I'm like, whoops, got to walk back.
Yeah, but I thought you were the designated toucher. We've been over this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know.
Forgot about that. You better get waivers. There'd be a couple of different waivers to sign if you were actually a designated toucher.
Yes, that would be. I would be more concerned about other lawsuits than if I phrased it like that.
Okay. We've only got a few more minutes left with Cara. If you have a question, please put it inside the chat and we'll get it on, because what's neat about this is that it's like you're living in the future. There's a lot of us that can't open yet, and you're experiencing it right now, so you can help us get there. Is there anything that you wish you would have done before you open your doors that you didn't do?
Oh, this is a question. Yes, actually there is. Something I did not do. I did not poll my customers directly. It was something I was getting ready to do. I was going to send out a poll and say, hey guys, would you be cool if I opened? I didn't do that. And I kind of wish I did, just to be sure. So
And how high would the don't open have had to be when you would say, okay, fine, I won't? If it would have come back 70-30, you should open, would you have opened anyway?
You mean 70-30, what should I
Yeah.
should open?
Let's say it was 51% or 70% said, yeah, go ahead. But there was like 30, like it was not
Okay.
90-10. Like there was a significant portion of your audience that was like, geez, I don't know about that. You know
That
what
would
I
have
mean?
been
Like,
interesting too, yes. And if I did it through MailChimp, I wonder if I could have watched who would have said what. I guess it's anonymous. But anyway, this is my lack of knowledge. I probably would have to, I mean, there is a state that I know sometimes I have heard in some things that some people say, you know, you open up retail, it might be for profit. Right now, it's not. It's just to keep me afloat, you know, and pay my bills. So, and I honestly, just to give you an idea, I made more in those 3 days than I did on my online for a whole month.
wow.
So just to give you an idea. So that's how much my customer relied more on me.
Can we talk just for a second about what the online reaction has been like? Because I would imagine there's going to be trolls with anyone that opens right now. Are you getting
Right.
trolls? What are people saying?
No, I have not.
Good for
Honestly,
you.
I have been lucky that I can't say I've been, mostly everybody's been kind.
Good.
Everyone's like, great, I hope to see you soon. You know, I'm not ready to come in, but I'm so glad to see that you're still out there and open, kind of thing, you know, and that's fine. So I say, be kind. Everybody's got to do something. Everyone's got to do something to keep themselves open or, you know, themselves in business. Because I don't know if I would have been here in a month from now if I didn't open up my doors.
Yeah. Last comment, Mary Irish jumped in and said something really cool about a survey question that could have been asked. What would you need to feel safe?
That actually, very good.
That's a
That is
good
really good idea. Yep.
That's really great. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I know you've got a
No
store to
problem.
run and you've got people to sell things to, and to hear your energy and your perspective is like super, super awesome. It's exactly what I was
Thank
hoping to
you.
hear. So best of
Thank
luck
you.
to you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's my pleasure. Kara Rankin, she owns Scout and Molly's out in Brookfield, in the Corners of Brookfield, and she dropped in to share her knowledge with us. So in a little bit, we're going to bring Michael Rampolla on, and we're going to talk Idea Slam and come up with some creative ideas. If there's something that you're chewing on and you could use a different perspective, a lot of smart people on the call, and we can really rally some brain power here. So start thinking about what you might need some help with. But speaking of brain power, the leader of the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce, our president and CEO, Carol White, joins us now. So Carol, welcome to the call. And how have you been doing the last couple of days? Because I haven't talked to you in a bit.
We are doing wonderful. And I just want to say kudos to Kara, because one of the things that we kept trying to push out is put together your plan. What does it look like when you're ready to open? If it's June 15th, I don't care what the date is, but have the plan so that whenever it says you can open, you can just pull it off the shelf and you're ready to go. I don't think anybody expected that it would be, oh, guess what? You can open, tomorrow retail can open five people each. There was no, to Jennifer's point, there was no warning. It was just, you can open. So kudos that Kara thought that through and had a plan. The piece of information that Sandra Heft had shared, those calls are actually calls that the Brookfield Chamber is doing. So we are doing industry sector best practices for the restart. And we started those before the retail could open for just 5 people, and then certainly before the Supreme Court decision. So we have done a number of those. And again, what's interesting is I'm just rambling. But what was interesting is since the Supreme Court ruling, many businesses that now could open, they're not opening yet because they had their plan and they want to follow their plan. And so they may not be opening until next week. We have some that aren't opening till the 26th. We have some that aren't opening till the 28th because they want to make sure they have all of their ducks in a row. They have all of the cleaning, their employees are safe, and they're getting their messaging out to their customers before they open their doors. And so I personally am thrilled that businesses aren't just, oh, I can open, I'm opening. Most aren't doing that. Most are making sure that they have a plan and they're ready to go.
One of the things that I'm talking with my clients about right now is showing on social media how you use us now, what we're doing to come to our store or to use our service, maybe doing a video that walks through, because there will be changes and you want people to know you're being considerate for them, but also how you're protecting them and what it's like to use that product now. Tell us about, because there's probably nobody else on the call that talks to more small businesses than you do. So what are you hearing as far as themes are concerned? Are there needs that the businesses have? They can't find this. They're all worried about that. What are you hearing? Any themes?
Um, Really not. I think to your point, the one thing that you just said, Pat, is it's critical on the messaging of what you're doing to keep your employees safe and what you're doing to keep your customers safe, because we all know that consumer confidence is what's going to drive the ability for us to get out of this. But really, needs, not really. People are just excited and happy about the opportunity to be able to open and be able to get started. I will say a lot are definitely still going with the social distancing. The masks, I will say, is a big question. That probably is the biggest one, is are we going to require that our customers use masks, and what does that look like? But other than that, honestly, there's no common themes. People are just excited to be able to start opening again.
Paul makes an interesting comment, and I think it's worth discussing. Paul, I'm going to unmute you if that's okay, because you made a very interesting point in the chat, and it's got my mind turning. So, Paul, if I heard you correctly, you're saying when I go to a Brewers ball game, I have a ticket that I have, and on the back it says you're assuming risk by coming through the door. Are you suggesting that maybe we have pre-printed tickets before people walk in the store, just to have another piece of paper in someone's hands before they walk in? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Yeah, that way, if they're making a conscious decision that they're going to they realize the potential risk and they're assuming that. I come from a background of auto racing, and we routinely sign liability waivers to enter the pits or the dangerous areas of the track. And so we consciously assume that risk. And so it just made me think about that, something more common like a concert or a sporting event or something like that, where the back of the ticket says, by using this license or this ticket, you've agreed to some level of assumption of risk.
I'm curious, have you ever seen that get challenged in your years of auto racing participation, where someone was injured and they tried to contest it? Have you ever been in that situation?
It's interesting. Yeah, most of the insurers use this standard waiver of liability, and it's been attempted to be challenged many times. And as far as I know, it's never been challenged. Not being a lawyer, I don't understand it. It doesn't seem like it wouldn't be able to be challenged, but it has never been challenged to my knowledge.
It has been challenged, because I've seen it challenged at Miller Park.
Okay.
It has
on
been, I don't
the
know.
ticket, right? In the racetrack situation, you're actually signing your name on it.
Okay.
So
I think
you're
it's a little
making a
different.
conscious thing versus. That's why I brought that up, because
Yeah.
it's just language on the back of the ticket that how many people even read that.
Yeah, that's true. So, Carol, how does that kind of idea strike you? Paul, thanks for contributing. I appreciate it. So, Carol, what do you think about something like that might be more of that passive acceptance of risk as you walk in, rather than explicit signature like Paul was suggesting?
It's interesting. So Cheryl has been on, I think, every single one of our best practices workshops. And so I'm actually going to ask her to make a comment. However, my thought is, we aren't doing it to go into the grocery store. We aren't doing it to go into the hardware store. We aren't doing it in general retail. I think when you're looking at salons, spas, going to, we had chiropractors, we had fitness, that those are very different, because you're utilizing the same equipment other people are utilizing, or you're in very close proximity. So for those types of businesses, we are actually saying that it would be good to have those signed each and every time that customer or patient comes in. But honestly, if it's okay, I'd like to ask, can we unmute Cheryl?
Of course we can unmute Cheryl. Cheryl, are you muted? Do I need to unmute you? Cheryl, speak, drop some knowledge on us. Is this a thing that we're on to here?
It's a thing. Yep, for sure. I would, anything that you can devise to kind of shield away the liability that you're taking on as a business is a good thing. And to kind of fall back into what Paul was saying, so even if I have you sign, let's just say Cara says, everyone has to do something when they come through the door. She made a decision. She put a policy, she put a procedure in place. Let's say, figured out, we'll go back to Paul and get hurt in the car pit. I love cars. You can go back to that company and sue them for whatever decision that they made, but there are policies in place that you can shield the business owner away from that liability. So if Cara made a decision that says, hey, I'm going to do this, and I still got hurt, there's policies that you should have on your business insurance that shield those legal fees. It's generally legal fees that these policies play into.
So
absolutely anything you can do.
All right. So now I have a million questions, and I'll try and contain them at two. Is this a rider that can be sold as far as like an umbrella kind of policy, or is this like something new that we should all be not all, but we might want to consider?
If the technical term is called a directors and officers policy.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be like a board of directors. It can be the leadership of the group, mm-hmm. And those policies protect the decisions that come from leadership. And usually they're standalone policies. Sometimes you can get them on your general liability.
So the second question is Carol or Cheryl, whoever wants to weigh in, or anyone. I mean, it's an all swim here. If you've got something smart to say, jump on and say it. So either I live under a rock or we just invented something. Like people have been talking about this insurance policy thing, and I just have not heard of it, because this is the first conversation I've heard of this. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense, but I haven't heard much about this.
We have talked about it on every one of our best practices for Restart. So we have talked about this on every single call.
Boy, that had a real I wasn't paying attention in school tone to it, Carol. That was really harsh.
No, but you haven't been on any of the best practices.
I know, I'm bad. I know, I'm awful.
No, you weren't, because we haven't done general office yet. But here's the other thing that I will tell you is that the chamber world, not just myself, but all of the chambers across our state are really trying to work with the legislature to pass legislation that protects businesses, that they can't be sued for COVID. We haven't had any luck yet, but we are trying hard to do that.
That would be nice. If we're going to reopen, at least we could be shielded somewhat. Okay, that's fine.
And everybody,
Earl.
This principle has been around for a long time. When I ran the city's tow lot, we had a long discussion. I mean, I got 3 paragraphs worth of legal opinions from the city attorney, just having someone walk up to pick up their own car from, so just like the guy from NASCAR, this is you sign a waiver, all that kind of stuff, and you still get sued.
Yeah. Well, we're pretty much going to get sued no matter what, so we might as well try and protect ourselves.
But
that's why we need Earl from Legal Shield.
No, but listen to this. What I was told, though, is where, what's her name? The lady that opened up.
Carol.
No policy is an open door. It's better to have a bad policy written down, formulated, ready to go in court than have nothing. Mm-hmm. Nothing means you're going down a rabbit hole.
Okay. Excellent. Earl, thanks for jumping in. Okay. And Cheryl, thank you for the comments on that. I appreciate it. Okay. Carol, what else are you hearing from the other chambers you're networking with and the situation that's out there right now?
So within the state, I'm going to say shock that they're, I don't want to get into politics on this, but just shock that it was, okay, we're open. And to your point, Pat, Waukesha County is this way, Milwaukee County is this way. And honestly, there's talk whether or not, if what the state did is if other municipalities can do that as well. So I would say watch and see what's going to come down the pike from that. We also know that the legislature and Governor Evers are talking, and that likely there will be mandated best practices that everybody agrees to. So I think in the process of opening, it is really smart to follow best practices and not say, hey, the sky's the limit. We can have 50 people gather. We can do whatever we want, because I really do think there are going to be some mandated best practices that are going to be coming down the pike. And I don't, my personal opinion, I don't think that that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think that if everybody adhered to best practices, I think we would be in a much safer place. I want to say, I think our chamber members and the businesses that I talk to all want to do the right thing. They want to be safe for their employees. They want to be safe for their consumers. They know that consumer confidence is what's going to be critical to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Can you comment on the Evers announcement today of the Small Business Fund? Because I breezed through it, and I was networking with Eric Bilstead back and forth to come on and be Mr. Smart Newsman today, and he's too busy covering news and he couldn't come on. Do you know anything about it? Can you comment on it?
So here's what's interesting, and I am so transparent. I saw it come across, but I have been on calls all day. So
Sure.
Thankfully, with Kara going first, I pulled up the press release, and truly though, more details aren't even coming out until June.
That's what I thought. I
So,
thought I was seeing things, and maybe you would know something I didn't see, because I read the article and I'm like, there's
No.
nothing really here.
No, and I will tell you, nothing even got released to us yet, which is really unusual because we're pretty closely tied to WEDC, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corp.
Yeah.
But it is specifically for small businesses under 20 employees. It would be up to a $2,500 grant from WEDC, probably mostly restaurant and retail. And if you already received funds through the first thing that I'm trying to remember, it wasn't a lot of money that WEDC had put out, you would not be eligible for this one.
Right.
But truly, details, applications, all of that, June.
And I saw the number 2,500, right? That's what they said. 2,500 was the number in the article that I had read.
Yep, $2,500, up to a $2,500 grant.
Yeah.
And it has to be under 20 employees.
Okay. We got time for one more question with Carol. So if you need some help in the idea slam, or sketchy ideas, as Michael is now calling it, which is quite crafty, drop it into the chat right now and we will line them up so that way we can get on with it as soon as we're done with Carol. Is there anything else that we're not talking about that we should be talking about, that you're hearing on calls, that you're hearing business owners talk about, that as the leader of the chamber, you want to wave a magic wand and make sure we're all paying attention to?
I think let me say this, the chamber world will continue to push for the legislature to hold us harmless on if someone contracts COVID. I think that that is one of the biggest things, because restaurants, everybody has that as a concern. So we will continue to work on that. Beyond that, we're still charging ahead with our regular planning. So we still are doing our best practices workshops. We have one for nonprofits and events and fundraising yet this week, and we have general office yet this week. And I would just say, anybody on the call, if you have questions about anything at all, please reach out to us. When this all happened and everything was opened after the Supreme Court ruling, we sent an email out to our membership right away saying we knew where Waukesha County stood. We knew where Milwaukee County stood and some of the surrounding municipalities. But if you're not sure, reach out to us, because we have contacts all over that we can connect with to get answers for you.
Well, I don't care if you're doing a best practices calls about like funeral homes or something. I'm going to be on those calls so I don't get scolded again, because you're right. I better be paying attention, because this was, Mr. Miller, this was covered on our calls.
I apologize. I did not mean it to sound that way. I just meant we have been working on this.
No, I know you have. And that's why you guys are doing such a great job. We're all so grateful for your leadership. Thank you for your partnership for the Small Business Rally Point. You're doing great, and we can't wait to see you in person. We will toast you virtually Thursday night, correct? That's the after 5, correct?
Yep, Thursday night we are doing our first virtual after 5, and we're going to have a couple contests. We are going to put people into breakouts, and we're going to do a cocktail competition, and some more details will be coming on that, and people will get bragging rights for winning that. And then we're also going to do family photos with people that you get thrown into a breakout with. So we're going to have some fun and games. A little bit hard to do our regular networking and breakouts, so we're just going to have a fun time.
That's great. Thank you for your leadership and for giving us the information. It's always a pleasure. Carol White, President and CEO of the Greater Brookfield Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much. Let's bring on the man with the whiteboard, which has really become a signature thing, Michael. You're going to have to show up at networking events like Flavor Flav with a big whiteboard around your neck, right? Because
Nice. I like that.
you to have the whiteboard around.
I like that. I can totally do that. I can get a little portable size. I like that idea.
All right. So if you need an idea or something you need to get crafted, now is the opportunity to jump in because the whiteboard is available. And here are some of the things that would work right now. You need to send an email to your staff or an email to your customers. You've got a giveaway that you want to do. There's something you need to look at. You fuzzed out the camera. You were stretching out so much.
Darn autofocus.
That's okay. Now we're in. How are things by you? What is going on in your world right now?
Oh, what's going on in my world? Let's see. What's going on in my world is actually we were talking this morning as a Spirity Collective about some of the business planning courses that we have, and basically just how do we roll it out to a bigger audience and keep things simple, but then add in the other layers. So something for everybody that does anything related to business is don't get too far away from what's core for you. I mean, we originally started designing and crafting something that was post-pandemic specific. And then we looked at it again, we said, there's just like one or two parts of this that are post-pandemic specific. Everything else is just, here's how to do a business plan. And so for everybody, not totally reworking your existing offerings, content, marketing, but just adding, there is a current context that's different, but you are still you and your content is still it and your core is still your core. So there's value to the pivot, but there's also value to maintaining your center. So when you are pivoting, you're still balanced. So that was my takeaway from our conversation as a team this morning.
Okay, fair enough. Garrett Stein, he says he's got something he could use some help with.
All right.
Garrett, thanks for being on the call again. How can we help you?
Well, I'm trying to redefine what my pretty bauble is, because I started way out here, and then I narrowed down to doing gemstones and kind of gemstones and ethically sourced gemstones, but I also sell stellar and high-end diamonds and jewelry. So how can I focus on the ethical and the local, making jewelry from little villages in Africa? And I can get you a 15-karat diamond for $10,000 that I have no idea where it comes from, because that's money and that pays the rent.
So what does success look like? Making money or sending the story? I know the answer is both, but which one is the lead message you want to send?
The lead message I want to send is I'm being ethical, but if I can't make rent, doesn't matter how ethical I am.
That's true. You could be very ethical and broke, and that's not a plan. So how far do you want to get into the fine gem space? Because I can see how, look, I shined up this thing that doesn't mean very much, but it's very pretty. Or here's a ring that I could buy Abby because she doesn't have enough diamonds. She told me to say that, by the way. Do you see what I'm talking about? You could message a bunch of different stuff. How much can you go into the diamond space?
I can sell and custom create, but not built by me. Anything.
You're the diamond guy. You could be anything.
I could be anything.
Okay, Michael, question away, sir.
Who's currently buying your stuff?
No one. Because it started back in January that I went, hey, this would be a cool idea to do. And then the freaking COVID thing happened and put brakes on the entire jewelry stuff. So this is a completely clean slate.
Are you
before January, you had made at least one sale of your stuff, right? I mean, you're not going in totally cold, right?
All the sales I made are to friends and family or Facebook friends.
Friends and family are always your first buyers, so you're on the right track. What did they buy? Ethical, local, or high end?
They went, oh, that's pretty, and just pointed at a pretty blue stone or pretty green stone. They didn't care.
And which side of the line was it on?
I can't see the line.
Well, did they?
Sorry, ethical, local, or high end?
They went for cheap because this is my family.
Right.
That's right. That's how it is. But you actually said something really important in there. You said they didn't care. They just said it was pretty.
Correct.
Pat, that's to you. What do you think?
Well, there's the pretty side. There's the ethical side. The first thing I want to know is you've been sending the ethical message and the pretty message. Which one do you think people care more about? Which do you think people care more about?
I would like people to say the ethical side.
But that's the question. You would like them to. Is that what people really think?
The responses that I've been getting on Facebook and Instagram are the pretty side.
Pretty side. Okay.
Well, first of all, it's in your name, so that's a good start.
True.
Right? Pretty bubble. So what I've learned in coaching situations like this is figure out who's already buying and sell more of what they're buying to them. And then that actually opens you up into new markets. So it's like, it's this filter, I was trying to describe it. So if this is everybody that could be buying, if this is who is actually buying, you double down on that. And what that actually does, that becomes your funnel in and actually funnels you back out. So by finding who's already buying instead of everybody who could be buying, who you want to be buying, you build up the revenue here that lets you then, and the access. You get revenue, number one, which is you have to stay in business. But number two, what you actually start to get is referrals and a network and growth because of the organic of marketing of this. And you actually gain access back to the rest of that market because you focus on the people who are already buying. So people are buying because it's pretty. That's great.
Yeah, it's almost like you're selling a two-way benefit up front rather than what they want and the effect. The reason why they're buying is because it's pretty, and once they buy it because it's pretty, good things happen. So put a quarter machine and a candy bar comes out. So buy it because it's pretty, and when you do buy it because it's pretty, I do good things with the money. If you send both of those messages up front, that can get really confusing. Brad had an interesting comment. Brad, do you want to weigh in here because you had some thoughts? Go ahead. Sorry, I unmuted you and you muted back on. Go ahead, sir.
So your message, right? It's the custom pretty, it's custom pretty. And the benefit is ethically sourced gemstones, right? So it's the custom pretty is what you're telling your clients. That's what your clients are buying. And like they said earlier, the benefit is you're supporting ethically sourced. I mean, if you look at the Bomba socks and Flex watches and all of those other types of organizations, the socks are awesome. People bought them because they thought they were doing good with the dollars that were going to them, and you're doing the same thing by what you're trying to do with your ethically sourced products.
And yes, Brad, love it. And to the point, if it's high end, if it's local, if it's ethical, if it's not pretty, I'm not going to buy it.
Right.
So the number one value of a pretty bauble, Mr. Stein, is that it's pretty. And after that, because if it's not pretty, it doesn't matter if it's ethical, local, high end, cheap, or expensive. It's got to be pretty first because that's its actual purpose, is to be pretty. So if it's meeting its purpose, you get access to other parts of the story. But if not that, it doesn't really matter.
Some interesting points being made in the comments here. Sam, I'm going to let you make your point because I think it's pretty brilliant. Can you share what you had there, Sam?
Yeah, I was just saying that can you go to man-made diamonds, because I would think that man-made diamonds are ethically sourced. So that allows you to go into the diamond market without going to potentially unethically sourced diamonds.
Actually, diamonds and man-made diamonds, you have a higher eco impact on the world because the amount of energy and the sources and minerals that you need to create this mineral from outside of the what's built inside the earth is a much higher eco footprint than the ethically sourced diamonds from Canada and Greenland and even Russia.
So different versions of ethical, right?
Yeah, and see, now this is where my head's about to explode because there's so much education that has to happen up front here. Buy the stuff because it's pretty and feel good about it because we're making an impact. Like, I feel like that's the way you're going to have to do it. If you try and explain to people all of the different impacts, like I'm what you just said surprised me because I thought when you were saying ethical, you were talking about human capital and the way that people are taking advantage of the people that find the jewels and blah, 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 not the environmental impact. Those are both ethical questions, but they're different ethical questions. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it just seems like that's so much noise. Oh, and they're pretty too, right?
Got to be pretty first. If the point is to be pretty, it's got to be pretty first. In baubles, not everywhere else.
Well, being pretty helps. Trust me, I know.
Doesn't hurt. You're right.
Okay, that's great. Well, Garrett,
or at least having a good photographer.
I know that we kind of went all over the place on you, but I think separating the pretty from the ethical and putting one first and the other one second, that's what my gut is telling me.
I think I'm going to focus more on pretty and the story comes later.
All right. What do you think about that, Michael? Does that make sense to you?
100%. I think you nailed it. I think good job, team. That was definitely a team effort. And I think, like I said, from experience, that's the way in. And I think you get to tell that story as Pat said, once you sell the pretty, then you get to tell the story. But without that, you don't have the revenue to do any of the above.
I think we might have missed something here because my comments are not allowing me to give credit where it's due. Judy Murphy, I'm seeing Judy Murphy, great comment, but I can't see the comment. Judy, what was your great insight? Can you share real quick?
Oh, sure. My mother was an accountant who worked for a wholesale jewelry company for her entire career. And always, they sold pretty first, then custom, then anything else. And pretty brings the repeat customers.
Very good. That's why you've stayed in business so long, Judy, right?
35 years.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. I'm sorry I couldn't shout it out earlier, but my comments are kind of all jacked up today. But thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to share a little bit of information about the brand new Idea Collective community in just a minute, but I do want to make sure that I leave the door open for any further brainstorming sessions that we want to do while we still have a couple of minutes. I'm dedicated to try and keep this at an hour so we don't run on forever. But the magic board is out, and we don't want to miss Michael's brilliance. Okay. All right. I'm still amazed at the bungee cord setup you have there, Michael. It's quite impressive. Okay. I'm hearing nothing else. Is there anything more comments earlier today, Michael, that you wanted to comment about what Kara said and what Carol had to say today?
You know what? I appreciate the thoughtfulness, and I think it's interesting. I think what it all comes back to is it's exactly what Carol said, having a plan. Whatever the plan is, have it ready. Our boys are involved in swim lessons, and basically the next morning after the state opened back up, we got an email, and my wife was surprised that this very long form email about what the plan had come so quickly. And I said, she planned ahead. That was clearly planning ahead. You don't write that thing overnight in the morning. I've been waiting to send this email, and I have a plan to reopen our business, and here it is. And it looks like you worked through the night, but really it's just you had a plan. And I thought it was a great example of all these things that we talk about, just a simple version of we have a plan and here's what it is. And it was also good because it also said, here's what we'd like to do. What are your thoughts? So it was very engaging with the customer, which I thought was great, not just a hard, fast, here's what's going to happen. So I think all of this is back to what Business 101. Have a plan, engage with your customers, find out what they want and need, make sure that they're getting it, and keep your brand solid. That's why we come together to have these conversations.
That's great. And it's always great to have you here as a resource. You think so well on your feet.
Happy to support.
Yeah. Magic board, Michael Rampolo from Spirity. Thank you very much.
Anytime.
Okay, so I want to take just a quick minute. I want to share something new that I'm announcing this week and talking about having a plan and something written for a couple of weeks, but you can't send it out. I finally pushed the button last night, and I've started the invitations for the founding 50 members for the new community that I'm launching. So many of you, we met each other at the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce, and you also know about my social group called the Brand Crafted Social Club, where I try and unite groups from all around the city. A lot of folks from Local First and MMAC and other chambers. We're all in one little pot on Facebook called Brand Crafted. That's for networking and getting to know one another. But I'm also starting this new community called the Idea Collective. And the Idea Collective is an add-on to your Brookfield Chamber membership. Now, to be clear, I don't mean it has anything to do with the Brookfield Chamber. That's not what I'm saying. Brookfield Chamber is a wonderful place to meet people and be engaged and network and expand your business opportunities. What I'm saying is, in addition to having a Brookfield Chamber membership, because you all should have one, you really should. This other community is about where you go to get better. There are places to network, there are places to get better, and not enough of them. And that's why I'm building the Idea Collective. This new community is going to be off of Facebook. It has its own app. It's going to have threaded message boards, and everyone that comes through the door has to agree to the community standards before I let them in. And the community standards are think, give, share, collaborate, build, and grow together. All of it is about giving to each other, so we're working on each other's businesses together. And just this week, I've started to do invitations to the Founding 50. The Founding 50 members will be the first 50 people in the community, and they're going to help us shape the community together. So if you're interested in joining a place where you can go and collaborate with other smart business owners, there's some people that have already agreed to be in the community that are on this call. I would love to tell you more about it. The group goes live on June 1st, and I'm sending out invitations this week. If you agree to join the community this week on Thursday afternoon, I'm having a founders call where everyone's going to get on. I'm going to show you the new community, get your feedback, learn your business challenges, and learn how I can customize this group to meet your needs. But I think you all know me well enough to know that I'm really excited about this. And I think it's going to be the next level of what I'm doing with Brand Crafted and a great addition to the core networking activities that we all need. Shout out to Carol and the Brookfield Chamber. That's still and will always be my home base. So if you want to know more about it, I'll hang on here on the Zoom call. We'll stop the recording in Facebook Live and we can talk about it if you're interested. We do want to make sure that we shout out right to our sponsors for today's broadcast, the Brookfield Chamber of Commerce. As always, Carol and the crew do a fantastic job. Third Eye Local, Serendipity Labs over in Wauwatosa, and the Brand Crafted Social Club. And also a big thanks to Jennifer Buchholz, the executive producer of the broadcast and the one that makes it all happen. Thank you for doing what you do. And Michael, now for our sketchy ideas portion, we got to give you a shout out as well. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss the next broadcast, text the word BIZ, B-I-Z, to 414-240-1315, 414-240-1315. And you can make sure that you get the texts that go out every day before the call. Oh, and I forgot to mention, next week, our broadcast will be on Tuesday, not Monday, because on Monday, I'm going to be sitting by my barbecue smoker having a cold one because it's Memorial Day. So we're going to have our broadcast on Tuesday, not Monday at 3 o'clock. And we have our guest booked. Our guest next Tuesday at 3 o'clock will be Katrina Cravey, right? Yes, that's right. She's going to come on and share with us some ideas on messaging, but also some ideas on how to do better on Zoom calls, just like this one. So she's kind of moving her business in an exciting direction, and her years of broadcasting and television experience will come in handy on our call next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. With that, thank you for tuning into the Small Business Rally Point for Monday, May 18th, 2020. Talk to you next week.